Now, back in 1983, I was told by a military source that 4 security technicians who got close to one of the craft and bodies in early July 1947 began to bleed from their ears, eyes, nose, mouth, like Ebola disease, hemorrhaging, and that all 4 died. If this is true, it's one of 2 reasons that I alluded to at the beginning of this program about why President Truman and his science, medical, and military advisors in July 1947 decided to lie about the momentous revelation that non-humans were interacting with Earth, because the President and MJ-12 suddenly were uncertain about how dangerous those interactions might be for humans. It is believed that information was obtained from source in Congress, meaning JFK, who is close to Secretary for Air Force. A side note, JFK was close to Stuart Symington, and Symington was sworn in as the first Secretary of the U.S. Air Force on September 18, 1947, only 2.5 months after the New Mexico UFO July crashes LZ-1, 2, and 3. As to the bodies recovered at Landing Zone 2, it appeared that none of the 5 crew members survived entry into our atmosphere due to unknown causes. Dr. Detlef Bronk has been asked to assist in the autopsy of one well-preserved cadaver to be done by Major Charles K. Ray. From what descriptions the team was able to learn, and from photographs taken by intelligence photographers, the occupants at Landing Zone 2 appear in most respects human, with some anatomical differences in the head, eyes, hands, and feet. They have a slight build, about 5 feet tall, with grayish-pink skin color. They have no hair on their bodies and are clothed with a tight-fitting flight suit that appears to be fireproof. Some of the bodies looked as if they had been burned on head and the hands. Their overall stature reminds one of young children. It is believed that there were male and female genders present, but was hard to distinguish. The most disturbing aspect of this investigation was there were other bodies found not far from Landing Zone 1 that looked as if they had been dissected as you would a frog. It is not known if Army field surgeons had performed exploratory surgery on these bodies. Animal parts were reportedly discovered inside the craft at Landing Zone 2, but this cannot be confirmed. The team has reserved judgment on this issue. Our assessment of this investigation rests on 2 assumptions. 1, either this discovery was an elaborate and well-orchestrated hoax, maybe by the Russians, or 2, our country has played host to beings from another planet. So, in this interplanetary phenomenon unit summary of July 22, 1947, there are 2 haunting descriptions that never made it to official public news then or now. 1, the profuse bleeding from orifices by the 4-man security team and their deaths. And 2nd, other bodies found not far from Landing Zone 1 that looked as if they had been dissected as you would a frog. Back in 1983, while trying to produce the HBO documentary that the government ultimately blocked, I traveled to a ranch in Corona, New Mexico, to talk with a rancher who had experienced bloodless, trackless animal mutilations there, and was referenced to me as someone who knew and had talked with Mac Brazel, the original rancher near Corona, who found strange wreckage on his land that 4th of July 1947 holiday. Mac Brazel drove to Roswell to tell Sheriff Wilcox about what he had found. I was standing with that Corona rancher at a pasture fence back around 1983 when he said to me, I talked to Mac. There's a horrible secret. And that rancher didn't say what the horrible secret was. Did Mac Brazel know about the body parts dissected as you would a frog that the IPU summary describes at Landing Zone 2 near the Trinity site at White Sands? Another piece I can add is from a scientist who told me he had firsthand knowledge about how body parts were discovered in the July 1947 UFO craft. He said investigators were pushing on the smooth, just nothing but smooth surfaces on the interior of a wedge-shaped craft, when suddenly drawer-like compartments slid out of the wall, and that's where the body parts were. But what exactly were the body parts? Were they animals, aliens, or humans? Last year, I received a note from an aerospace engineer who wrote that he had learned the bloodless, trackless animal mutilations that I began investigating in September of 1979 were done by some of the gray-type ETs because they need a certain chemical from Earth for their sustenance and health. If that were true, why couldn't the whole world of humans just be told? An introduction to other life in this universe could begin as needing to do trade with us for their survival. This is a complicated situation.